This is a step-by-step guide to applying for housing on Cumbria Choice. The website address is www.cumbriachoice.org.uk. Click on the website and then we need to click on log on, and if you don't have an application, log on at the bottom there. Very important that you have your national insurance number at hand. You're unable to apply for properties without your national insurance number. This section is about you, so fill in your details. Date of birth should be in this exact format: 01/06/2000. It's quite important to have your postcode. If you're not sure about your current postcode, you can get away with using the first 4 letters and digits of the postcode, so you could actually just put CA14 in that part. Again, the dates all have to be in the exact format: 01/01/2000. Very important to have a contact telephone number, so that if you're matched to a property, the housing association can contact you really quickly to establish meeting for a viewing of the property. Make sure you let the housing association know how you would like contacted. Some of the questions you can answer, I don't wish to answer. Some questions don't need to be answered unless you're a foreign national. Very important to put your employment status on. And very important to include pets, as some properties don't allow pets. This is whether you are related to anybody on the Cumbria Choice board. Choose a housing association within Allerdale, usually Castles and Coasts, Home Group or Impact Housing. This is your memorable date, which you will need to log in on any future logins. So remember your memorable date, and is in the format 01/01/2000. Then you will need to do a memorable place, and the memorable place is case sensitive, i.e. if you put a capital in this time, you'll need to put a capital in next time. Once this page is filled in, click next section. The system will alert you if you've forgotten to answer any questions. However, it will ask you to reinsert your memorable place and your memorable date if you've made any mistakes. Next section. This section is about any joint applicants. If it's just yourself, you can skip this page and just create the login. Write down your memorable write down your number 1019862. This will obviously be different when you do your own login, and then click apply for social housing here. Once again, click Complete new housing application. This section is about yourself, so just check all your details. And click next section. This section is about anybody who is going to be living with you. So complete this section if anybody is going to be living with you but not a joint applicant. This section is about yourself. Double check your details. And click next section. The system will tell you if you've entered anything incorrectly. In this case, the national insurance number was entered incorrectly and we've now corrected it. Click next section. This section is about people who will be living with you going forward but are not currently living with you now. If it's just yourself, ignore this section and click next section. This section is about yourself. Complete this section with your current accommodation details, type of property that you're living in, how many bedrooms in the property, who you're living with, and complete next section. This section is about your housing history. You must make sure that you've completed your 5-year housing history. I understand that that can sometimes be quite long if you've been in a few properties, but it's very important that you put your full housing history in there. Click next section. Very important to declare any convictions. It's not a reflection on you, and if you don't declare them, it may be deemed to be a fraudulent application. So just be very honest. This section is about whether you've been evicted before. Again, very important to complete it. As a young person, it's highly unlikely that you've been an owner-occupier, so ignore that part. Do complete if you are under-occupying a property, or if you've approached the homeless section, and if you've been asked to leave your property. Put in the date you've been asked to leave by. This is about property condition and whether it's suitable to live in. And the last section is about if you're currently in prison. If you're not, ignore that section. This section is about any abuse that you've been suffering that's resulted in you being homeless or threatened with homeless. Very important to fill in those last 2 questions. The next section is about your medical needs. If you have no medical needs, ignore that section completely. If you have any medical needs that are currently affecting your housing, do fill in the medical part. Local connection is very important. Do put in where you've got a local connection. Some areas of Cumbria have local lettings policies and will need you to have a local connection to a certain town, and you would need to pop it in this box here on what your local connection is, whether you work in the area, whether you have family members in the area, or you've lived in the area for quite a long time. This section is aspirational, so it's about what you would like in the future. What would you ideally like to live in and where would you like it to be? Do click the bottom question and let them know that you're intending to bid immediately. Again, this is the medical part, and if you have no medical issues that are affecting your housing or will affect your housing going forward, ignore it. If you have a physical disability which will affect your future housing and you need ground floor accommodation, very important to fill this bit in. Again, medical, ignore if you have no medical issues. Medical again, but at the bottom of this page do have to answer that question yes. Declaration. This part's very important, so do read all the questions, read the information on that page and answer them appropriately. Click next section. This is the final part. You can either go to previous sections and check your application, or you can submit your application. We're going to submit the application. The application has now been submitted. You should have wrote down your unique number, your memorable date and your memorable place, but you need to keep them safe. Your application will now need to be approved by the housing association that you chose, and it's a good idea to remember that housing association. Once you have been made active and all the checks have been done, the housing association will write to you and let you know that you're active and let you know what band you're in. If you disagree with your band or you don't understand your band, please speak to either any support workers that you work with or the housing association that you applied with. Once the application is completed, you can actually apply for properties once it's made active, and this will be done on a separate video.